So welcome to Receiving Your Self-Care, the Receiving Your Self-Care workshop. I am Reverend Stephanie Stewart, in case you weren't here this morning, or you weren't paying attention like Leslie. Yeah, you're taking notes, okay. And again, if my voice goes, we'll just stop early. I'll hang on as long as I can hang on. So, this is the thing. If we're doing our self-care, we're receiving its benefits, right? If I'm taking my walks, if I'm getting my massages, all that stuff, I'm receiving the benefits of it, right? My answer to that is no, actually. If self-care can actually become a stressor. It can become a chore. Yes, I have to do this before, and yes, please talk to me. I love chatty workshops. Please be a peanut gallery. Please, go for it, okay? Just shout at me. There's no hand raising here. There is just, this is a peanut gallery workshop. I want to tell you a little bit about the spiritual practices that I started new spiritual practices at the beginning of the year, because it's the beginning of the year and those are the things you do, right? So I had a couple of things that I thought, I'm going to do these readings at the beginning of every day. This is what I'm going to do. And they became a chore. And at the first thing every morning, I thought, I got to read this, this, and this. I got to read this, this, and this. I got to read this, this, and this. And it got to the point where I was reading this, this, and this, and I had no idea what the hell they said. I read them, and I checked them off my list, and off I went. And so I wasn't getting the benefit of them. I wasn't getting the benefit of my own spiritual practices. I wasn't getting the benefit of my self-care. And so I thought, how can I prevent this from happening? And so today I want to talk about two things, and we're going to go through a couple of things here that help us get the benefits from our self-care. One is variety in our self-care, and the other one is self-forgiveness. We talk about forgiveness a lot in the Science of Mind and Centers for Spiritual Living, but we don't talk about self-forgiveness a whole lot. So we're going to spend a lot of time on variety first. So what do some of you do for self-care? Meditate, okay. Walk. Massage.
2-hour massage.
2-hour massages.
Oh. CBD oil.
With CBD oil?
No, permission to stop. Permission to stop and go sit outside and not just jump right back up and go back. Yeah, permission to stop.
Permission to stop, okay. What else?
Stop and breathe.
Stop and breathe,
I
yeah.
have a mindfulness bell on my phone that just goes off randomly all day long, so it reminds me to just take that moment to breathe.
Okay.
And then mandalas.
Mandalas.
From Helen. I love that practice.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the last thing?
Mandalas. Do a meditation while you're doing mandalas. If you've not taken Reverend Laura Hallett's mandala meditation workshop,
Those are fun. She has a coloring book too.
Yeah. Reverend Stephanie?
Yeah.
Can I ask everybody to speak up?
What?
Okay. Dave. Who let Dave in? Who let Dave in? Kenny, were you going to say something? Yoga, okay.
Playing with pets.
Playing with pets, okay.
Ice cream.
Oh, that works for me.
There's my man, ice cream, hot bath. I want to recommend a book to you. I have done, if you've watched the Midweek Mindful Moment that I do for New Dawn on Wednesdays, I have used this book a lot. It's called Full Cup, Thirsty Spirit. Full Cup, Thirsty Spirit by Karen Hornifer-Ginter. I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to suggest a whole bunch of things out of this. So take a bath. I think somebody said that, take a bath. How about listening to music? Anybody do that? That's a great one, listen to music. Prayer, that's a great one. Bunch of religious scientists, and nobody said prayer. Oops. Sorry. Light a candle. Anybody use candles? Smudge. How about take a nap? I am an advocate for naps.
Amen.
Amen, thank you. I am a nap advocate. Thank you. I am a nap advocate. Guided relaxation. We get Dr. Jim to do all those. Can we get him to do all those? Take deep belly breaths. Deep belly breaths. How about we just do a couple of those right now? And now it's time for that nap. Let out a sigh. Let out a sigh. The power of a sigh, let me tell you. Let's see if this will just sit here and behave. Okay, I'm just going to leave that there because it doesn't want to fit under the shelf. The power of a sigh. I used to work and volunteer for hospice. And when we would have a patient that would reach a certain stage in their process, they would begin to breathe very shallowly. They were not conscious, they were not very present. And they would begin to breathe in a very shallow way. And a volunteer would sit in the room with them, and they would breathe in and let out a sigh. Breathe in and let out a sigh. And that sigh would help slow down that patient's breathing. And that is the power of a sigh. That much to help relax that patient further into their process in letting go of their body. That is the power of a sigh. So just breathing in and
Reverend Stephanie led a meditation last week at John at the gathering we had, and she did that practice with the sign, and it was incredible to hear the different sounds that made and how much more relaxed the energy in the room was when we were all done. It was phenomenal. It was really, really phenomenal. We really enjoyed that.
I'm glad. Turn off all your electronics. Turn off all your electronics.
How about a Reiki session?
Reiki session, yes, perfect. Reiki's perfect. Journaling, does anybody journal? Do I have any journalers? We're all gonna journal today. Okay, so we walk, some of us walk. How about just sitting outside?
Oh, yeah.
Sitting
outside.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Being outside.
Farmer's market? Are any of you getting to the farmer's market? I know there's one down here in Old Town Park. Let's see, what else here?
Watching birds at a bird feeder.
Yes. That's a great one. My wife can find things in clouds.
Oh,
She finds things in clouds all the time. She's like, can't you see the dragon with the turtle? And oh, look, there's a bunny rabbit running up. And no. No. I see a blob, honey. Watching clouds, watching stars. Watching stars. Watching stars. Just trying to give you some ideas here. Take a bike ride.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say go for a run, but does anybody run? No, we ride our bikes.
In the other direction.
Yeah, in the other direction. If someone chases me, I run. If someone chases me, I run. Sure. Any tree climbers?
Tree hugger.
Tree huggers?
Yeah.
You can hug a tree. Play it, sure.
How about crafts?
Please?
Crafts, like
Crafts.
quilting or
Yes, crafts.
sewing.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Wonderful. Those are wonderful ideas. How about this? Move twice as slowly. Move twice as slowly.
That would be a challenge for me.
Yes, Renee, that would probably.
I'm a pretty fast-paced walker and hiker, so.
Twice as slowly.
That's a practice of being present that I do on purpose when I remember to just go real slow. Feed the dogs. Don't just try to get it over with. It's huge.
Twice as slowly. Twice as slowly. Art. Art, sure. How about making music?
Yay!
I don't have any drummers. Do we have any drummers in the room? Drummers? Hey, are you a drummer? Hi. What about painting on a surface other than paper?
16,000 garage sale signs later. $700.
Wow.
Many miles.
Coloring? Does anybody color? And any colorers in the room?
Yeah.
All right.
I do.
How about writers? Poem writers? Colleen? Okay. Does anybody want to try? Would you to write a poem, or would you not consider that self-care? What about learning something new? Just learning something new. Just learning something new. Self-care.
Cooking.
Cooking.
Yeah, I like
Or learning to cook a new recipe together or something. That's fun.
It is fun.
Do you have to clean up after?
Very slow.
That's right.
Examine an everyday object with fresh eyes. Imagine that you're visiting from another planet with no idea of the names or functions of the things that surround you. How might you see these objects differently? For instance,
Time capsule.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a flashlight.
it's a flashlight.
Electric battery.
Battery, sure.
It's a spaceship.
Sure.
With many people in it.
There you go. Let's see, let something go. Something emotional, maybe something physical.
Yeah, let
Let
go of my
something go.
belly. Right. Every minute I have to say, just let go. Relax.
Let go.
Let it go.
Forgive someone.
Whoa.
Forgive someone. That's self-care. Forgive someone. Forgive someone. How about writing a letter? Writing a letter really is lost art. You don't necessarily have to send it.
Oh, I love to write letters.
I do
And I
too.
send them to
Do you send it too?
10 pages.
Write a letter. How about giving thanks? Just giving thanks. We're pretty good about that at CSL.
Heart for healing.
We're pretty good about that. So that's a big list. That's a big list. That's a big list. That's just some variety for you.
I think writing a letter is good, and it's even more important to write letters to yourself, because we don't do that a lot. And it's sort of like the other one I was going to mention is talking to yourself, because I love to talk to myself, and my answers are always correct when I
You got it.
Are you kind to yourself?
What?
Are you kind to yourself?
Absolutely.
Well, we've talked a little about a variety of things to try and do. Let's talk about a different kind of meditation, a couple different kinds of meditation, okay? Today I want to do two different kinds of meditations. First one is a Tonglen meditation. I'll write it up here for you. Let's see it. I'll turn this so everybody can see it. You're about to find out why I always do slides. My handwriting is atrocious.
Pretty good.
Not bad.
Tonglen meditation, okay? To give. And lend. To receive. Turn that a little bit. Can you see it? Do I need to turn it? You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Tonglen to give. Tong to give, lend to receive. Yes, I did. Ooh, look at me. Okay. So everybody just settle in your seats here a little bit. It's the same 4 sentences essentially, over and over. Okay? So if you'll just settle into your seats a little bit, we're going to go through this together. And just take a nice deep breath. And I want you to think about yourself. Think about your body. Think about your soul, your spirit, all that you are, all that encompasses you, your personality. And I want you to encompass yourself in light. Whatever color you may wish, just a warm, encompassing light. And say this to yourself. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be safe. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be safe. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be safe. May I be peaceful and at ease. And so now I want you to visualize someone that you love very much. Someone that you love unconditionally. And I want you to encompass them in that light. And now say to them, may you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be peaceful and at ease. And now finally, I want you to think of someone who challenges you. Someone with whom you may need to work on forgiveness. And encompass them in this light. And say to them, may you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be peaceful and at ease. And when you are ready, take a deep breath. And center yourself again in this place. And come back into the room. And so this is simply a different type of meditation. A meditation where you not only sit with your own thoughts and receive the benefit of sitting with your own centeredness, but you give to another as well. It's a different kind of self-care. It's just a different variety of self-care. So, do any of you ever chant in meditation? Do any of you ever chant? So some of you chant. So I'm going to introduce a chant for meditation, and we're all going to chant. Because it's far too quiet in here. Let me make sure I spell it right. Got a very easy one. Om, because we always start with Om. Hum. Hum. Got it right. Okay. Can you see that one over there? Om, Hum, Hanumate, Namaha. I happen to like this one. It's for Hanuman, the Hindu god that looks like a monkey. You know who I mean? Yes? The one that kind of looks like a monkey? Have you seen that one? Yes? No? Maybe? No? No? Look up Hanuman. Look up Hanuman. Hanuman is all about perseverance and resilience, and I dig him. Oh, okay, Leslie has a picture. Okay, great. So this one actually is very easy. It's Om, Hum, Hanumate, Namaha. Okay, so I'll just start saying it and catch up. Okay. So Om, Hum, Hanumate, Namaha. 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 A different kind of meditation.
Is that pretty much clear all the other thoughts that you might be having at
Yes, rather than focusing on breath, it gives you something different to focus on. It's just a different way to meditate. Om Hum Padme Hum, I think, is another one, another short one. There are lots of, I chose this one, again, because I like Hanuman, but it's also short. So I wanted to choose a short one for you. Sorry. I've lost my place entirely.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
Because a lot of the ones I do, I like the Deepak Chopra ones, and he always uses a mantra in Sanskrit. What's the difference between stating it versus chanting it? You know, just repeating it as a statement versus adding the sort of the, I don't know, the musicality, I guess, of the chant.
I use it as a chant, I use it in meditation, and it replaces focusing on the breath. It's just a way to calm the mind.
Right, but I'm asking, like, if you just said it versus chant it, like, what does the chant do that's different?
It's more breath.
Might be, I don't know.
One thing that I've
Which is
noticed,
interesting.
yeah, when I do that, I love to notice the vibration, which gives me something to focus on, which in chanting, you're usually holding out those and feeling that vibration more. And so that helps me.
Almost like a bowl. But
Yeah,
it's within your mouth. Just wondering.
Okay.
Can I add to that? It's supposed to be very good to stimulate your vagus nerve, and chanting stimulates your vagus nerve. It's supposed to be super good for you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to do something that I really, really love, and that is what I call radical journaling. I have a very intense workshop around radical journaling. I'm just going to introduce it to you today. So if you have, I'm going to put some paper out at each table here. Okay, so radical journaling. This is a technique borrowed from Natalie Goldberg. Is anybody familiar with Natalie Goldberg? Natalie Goldberg is a writer and artist. She's also a Zen Buddhist. And she came up with this practice. It mirrors how people are taught Zen, how they are first taught to sit in Zen meditation. So here is the deal. I will give you a subject, okay, and I'll give you a subject to start with. You'll write it at the top of the page, and I'll say go. And you just start writing. And you write as fast as you can write, and you don't stop for any reason. You just go.
Stream of consciousness?
Yes, it doesn't matter what you write. I don't care if you write, this is stupid, Reverend Steph is crazy. The whole thing. You can write word for the whole, we'll do 5 minutes. I won't torture you with 10. But it doesn't matter. Because what will happen is, all of a sudden your stream of consciousness will stop giving you gibberish, and you'll start writing really good stuff. The first couple of times you may just write gibberish. But all of a sudden you'll have a breakthrough, and it's like God starts coming through. Okay? So it's very simple, but that's the way it works. Okay? So let's write, let's see. Write at the top of your page, please, the word weather. Weather, like the weather outside. And remember, you're just going to go. It doesn't matter if you don't actually write about the weather. It doesn't matter. It's okay. Whatever happens is what happens. Are you ready? Any mark? Get set. Go. stop.
No.
There is stretch. Stretch.
Oh, it's my guitar playing.
Good job. Now, either a fresh piece of paper or flip the page over. We're going to try it again. Oh, yes. What? Like I let you get away with one. Like I said, I have a very intense workshop that is nothing but this for like an
Are you
hour.
grading these?
No, I'm not seeing these. I'm not going to do that to you.
Same topic?
No. No, new topic. Self-care. Self-care. Put self-care at the top of the page, please. On your mark. Get set. Go. And stop. Good job, everybody. How was that one? Get a little more out of that one? Maybe? Yeah. All right. What I want you to do is I want you to look through that one, and I want you to just circle a word or maybe two words that jump out at you. Just read through that one and circle a word or maybe two words that jump out at you. Okay. Now a new piece of paper. One more. Just one more. Whatever you circled, write that at the top of your page. You can do it. Go! Stop. Okay. Not doing any more. Are you okay? Now you're okay. Okay. Yes, we're done. I'm okay. So variety in your self-care. Variety in your self-care. Again, that book is called Full Cup, Thirsty Spirit. Full Cup, Thirsty Spirit. Put some variety into your self-care. And now there is no excuse for not journaling. You can do it in 5 minutes. Even if you hate it.
I don't have time. Was that Karen Horner Ginty something?
Hornifer Ginter. Karen Hornifer Ginter. So variety in your self-care, different kinds of meditation, chanting, Tonglen meditation.
Medication.
Yeah, there we go, same thing. So let's move on to self-forgiveness. Self-forgiveness. Oh, yeah. No, the same reaction. Oh, self-forgiveness. So when we talk about self-forgiveness, let's go back to what I was talking about. When I instituted these new spiritual practices at the beginning of the year, and they became a chore for me. Okay? So first and foremost, the past has passed. It's June. I can't beat myself up for what is gone.
Oh, yes, you can.
No, I'm not going to. How about that?
Yeah.
The past has passed. It doesn't do me any good to, I haven't done them in months now because they became a chore. I wasn't getting anything out of them, and I just said, I'm just not going to go back to these. I'm not going to do these until I can go back to them and have them be self-care. So I haven't gone back to them in a couple months. So the past has passed. Let it be there. Let it sit there. Let it be in the past. Are my expectations realistic? My expectations, I thought, were quite realistic. I was going to read these 3 books in the morning. I'm not a morning person.
Yay.
I am not a morning person. They were not realistic. It was not realistic for me to get up in the morning, do everything I needed to do to get ready to go to work, and read those 3 books. Read the readings from those 3 books. It just wasn't realistic. I thought it was. I thought it was quite realistic. I was wrong. I was hideously wrong. And so I had to let it go. Can I do them in the afternoon? Can I do them in the evening? Certainly. And so that's something I have to revisit. So I had to accept I was not being realistic.
Permission to be human.
Thank you. Identify my hurt. Now, here's where it can get tricky. Here's where it can get really sticky. For me, the hurt was, I'm not a good minister because I'm not doing these spiritual practices. Okay? I'm not reading these books. I'm not reading 365 Science of Mind. I'm not reading the Science of Mind textbook every morning. You know, I haven't read all of the Science of Mind textbook, this stuff. I'm not a good minister because I'm not doing these things. So I had to identify that in myself and decide if it was true or not.
It's like, failure, failure.
I had to look at that big neon sign and say, is that true? And so we have to identify our hurt and decide if it's true or not. We have to identify the neon sign and decide if it's true or not. Embrace that's an A. Embrace self-acceptance. Embrace self-acceptance.
Permission to be imperfect.
Yeah. That one's pretty self-explanatory. Embrace self-acceptance. I am the minister that I am because of the way I am and the practices that I do. That's not to say that I don't need to grow and that I'm not growing and that I shouldn't and couldn't and won't continue to change and do different practices, but they won't be in the morning. They just won't. So embrace self-acceptance. Put things in perspective. Put things in perspective. Put things in perspective. I'm never going to be a morning person. I'm not. I don't care. That's my perspective. Just, sorry. I'm never going to be a really good morning minister. I'm sorry. If that's really important to CSL Parker, then you guys need to know that. You need to know that. If you do things early in the morning, you need to know that.
What's early?
Thank you. Anything earlier than 8.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Coffee.
Will coffee help?
Yeah.
No, actually, it doesn't. It doesn't wake me up a whole lot, so no. Even an IV of it? Start anew. Start anew. Start anew. So I didn't try again to start those practices in the morning, but I started something else. So this is the path to self-forgiveness. This is the path to self-forgiveness. The past is past. Are my expectations realistic? Identify my hurt. Embrace self-acceptance. Put things in perspective. And start anew. Start anew. Any discussion, questions?
I think
Comment?
identifying my hurt is so important. Like as I was reading these, I'm like, a lot of these are kind of head things, you know? And I think, like for myself and my coaching clients that I work with, there's a tendency you want to leave the head in your thought. Like we do that in CSL too, right? Like you change your thought. We just want to change it. You know, and that identifying my hurt really resonated because it's like we have to stop and really feel what's happened.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the big one. That's the big one.
I would say embracing self-acceptance meant really embracing how all my flaws, instead of pretending I'm not that, or I don't have any, or wishing I didn't have any, I just had to accept that I was human. And then I wrote a bunch of things like, I love my inner bitch and why she was useful, and I love my forgetfulness, why it saved me from a lot of stress. And I just wrote every bad thing I could think of and why it was of value. And that was an exercise I did out of a book, and it was really helpful.
I would use the same word you use in your journaling, and that's radical self-acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's basically what you just described.
There's a book, Radical Forgiveness. It's a stunning read.
Yeah.
I think the question is, why are we so hard on ourselves anyway?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's at the root of the cause of all that?
Mm-hmm.
Why are we so hard on ourselves? Why do we beat ourselves up? Because to me, the beauty of a night person is the creativity that doesn't often come with a morning person. So there's always the yin and the yang. Why don't we see the beauty? Why don't we see the love instead of the bad? Why do we beat ourselves up? We don't need to.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we can't judge other people unless they're perfect.
I didn't catch that.
So you can't,
Maybe I wasn't supposed to.
you can't judge other people unless you're perfect, right?
What?
You can't judge other people unless you are perfect.
Unless you're perfect.
So you beat yourself up when you're not. When you
And it's
see-
it's really hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way.
Sounds like a good theme for a song.
Western. Yeah. So what I'm thinking about is priorities, in that I could do what the things that I set out my goals to do if the dogs didn't need to be fed. If my husband can get up and, want to sit on the patio. So for me, it just feels like priorities, which do I really want to do?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's the seemingly the constructive thing that goes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've heard someone sometime talk about if, I think they even used an example of a dog, in the middle of your meditation, the puppy is chewing at something, the dog is off. It's part of the meditation, meditation. How did I react to this? How did I handle this? Do I stay mindfulness through it? So it can become a part of that self-care is using that moment to respond or react to aggravating situations in a new way.
He's actually describing what happened to me this morning during my meditation. The dog jumped on the chair next to me, and I'm peacefully thinking, and then all of a sudden I feel this wet nose, and this paw trying to get my attention. And my first reaction was to push the dog away, and then I stopped, and I just accepted what I had just done, and went over and just hugged it and petted it, and it just laid down peacefully next to me after that. So it's...
I'm not that good yet.
If I hadn't been meditating at that moment in time, it probably wouldn't have happened the same way.
I like to start a new piece because it means I've gone through all of the process. I've identified my hurts, and I'm back to accepting myself the way I am. But I'm willing to try again and look at it from a different perspective. I like that. Especially coming from a perfectionist point of view, because there's a lot of beat up in there when you tend to be a perfectionist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anybody else? What I want to offer you is a self-forgiveness meditation. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm getting to the point that I think there's just a certain flow about our, I don't know, psyche or whatever it is. Like you say, you're not a morning person. I'm not either. But because I've kind of been watching this for a while, it seems like around 3 o'clock I start to run out of steam. And so for a long time I would get on the computer and be on there longer than I wanted to be. But then about 3 o'clock I would want to go to the art room and mess around. So I read something on, I don't know what it was, Pinterest or something, that this guy was talking about our motivation, and they did a study. And that the motivation, that when we wake up in the morning, we have our motivation. And as the day goes on, motivation starts to decrease. And so I thought about that, so I thought, okay, then instead of doing all these little rituals in the morning, what if I just went to the studio to begin with? And then I could work all day, which I have been.
Mm-hmm.
But then at 3 o'clock, then I get tired. Well, then I realize that's the best time if I want to be on the computer. I need to rest. So I'm not sure that we can make it do what we want it to do, what we think it should do as far as our, I can't even come up with the word for it, the flow of how things work for us, the timing and whatever. And I think about our son, and he's a night person. And he really needs a nighttime job, a graveyard or something like that. So, anyway, I'm rambling, but it just seems to be like that's kind of where I'm at, trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sure. Try to figure out your rhythms. Your rhythms, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Maybe not should on yourself.
Should on yourself, yeah.
But I have a list a mile long of things I should do now, and should do then, and should do in this order, and should do it this time.
And it's supposed to,
Or that
it should
time.
do something for us. Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
I found too, like if I just set my minimum is that, and I don't need this every day, but my minimum is to read the Science Mind magazine. That's my minimum, and so it's like, and I can tell, the thing for me is if I don't do that, and exercise is kind of my other, if I miss those things after a few days, I'm not nice to live with, and even with myself, I don't like myself very much. So that helps me, in terms of self-care. It's like, and then it's not this long list like you were describing. I've done that too, where I've made the list too long. And then I don't do any of it, and then I beat myself, and that whole cover. That's so fun, right? So I like that. For me, that's what works, is if I just set it as my minimum, and then it takes, 2 minutes usually to read whatever's in the daily guide. And if I can do more, great, but if I can't, then that's okay. So that helps me.
That's good to have a minimum, sure.
I think one of the things we're talking about here is knowing ourselves and living our life to our strengths.
Mm-hmm.
I know for myself, forgive me for being a morning person. However, I know that if I don't get something done by noon, I probably won't get it done with quality.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the way it is. But that's my strength, and I can play to that. And I think that's one of the things we need to not apologize for, is how we are.
Sure.
Because some of us, it's just in our DNA.
Self-acceptance, how we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, I'm the opposite. I get a second wind, and the longer the day goes on, the stronger I get.
How do you do that?
What was that thing we read in the Farini book about the river just flowing with what it has, going around the rocks, not trying to overcome the rocks, but just flowing around all the objects and just letting your life just flow.
Well, I want to offer you a self-forgiveness meditation, since we're in self-forgiveness now. I want to offer you a self-forgiveness meditation. This is a mantra. And again, you can use this instead of focusing on your breath. So, I'm sure you're going to want to write this down. So I will repeat it a few times so you can write it down, and then if you want to sort of just sit back and relax into it and let yourself actually sit in meditation with it for a little bit, you can go ahead and do that. So I forgive myself for not understanding my needs. I forgive myself for making mistakes. I forgive myself for causing myself pain. I forgive myself for not understanding my needs. I forgive myself for making mistakes. I forgive myself for causing myself pain. I forgive myself for not understanding my needs. I forgive myself for making mistakes. I forgive myself for causing myself pain. I forgive myself for not understanding my needs. I forgive myself for making mistakes. I forgive myself for causing myself pain. I forgive myself for not understanding my needs. I forgive myself for making mistakes. I forgive myself for causing myself pain. I forgive myself for not understanding my needs. I forgive myself for making mistakes. I forgive myself for causing myself pain. I forgive myself for not understanding my needs. I forgive myself for making mistakes. I forgive myself for causing myself pain. I forgive myself for not understanding my needs. I forgive myself for making mistakes. I forgive myself for causing myself pain. I forgive myself for not understanding my needs. I forgive myself for making mistakes. I forgive myself for causing myself pain. I forgive myself for not understanding my needs. I forgive myself for making mistakes. I forgive myself for causing myself pain. I forgive myself for not understanding my needs. I forgive myself for making mistakes. I forgive myself for causing myself pain. How are we all feeling? Self-forgiveness can be really difficult because we're not taught to do it very well in our society. But it's so powerful when we do it. I often think that we become so powerful when we engage in self-forgiveness that parts of society fear people who can do it, who engage in self-forgiveness. And so I really urge you to fight for it if you have to. You shouldn't have to, but sometimes we do. So it's a little earlier than 2:30. I wanted to leave room for discussion, although I think we've had a very nice one. But questions, whether on the workshop or if you would like to ask questions of me in general. Or we can stop a little early if you'd like. Whatever you'd like. It's your time.
I thought it was yourself.
Yes.
Road trips.
Road trips. Excellent.
As you were going through that last meditation, the word essential came to me. So I want to revise my word minimum, and I'm going to change it to essential.
Okay.
So what is essential to my self-care?
Mm-hmm.
That's my new question.
It's a good curiosity question.
I like it, yeah. What's essential?
That's good.
I really like the first one. I forgive myself for not understanding my needs because I do tend to beat myself up for that. And not only, well, even if I understand my needs, being unable to verbalize my needs. And so that one really hit home.
I think that's true for a lot of people, Jeanette.
My big understanding of the afternoon is self-care is really about caring for our spirit.
Mm.
I really did a lot of grounding. If you haven't read about grounding, one of the things, it's actually what it sounds like getting in touch with the ground, laying on the grass. And they made the point that when our shoes started becoming rubberized on the bottom, we no longer can get that connection, that grounding effect with the earth. You know, we plug in, everything we plug in has a ground wire. Well, we're kind of made that way too. We're electrical beings as well. And so if you walk barefoot in the grass or just go lay down in the grass on a regular basis, it's amazing what 5 minutes on the grass, on the ground, making sure that as much of your skin touches it as possible, or at least it's cotton or something that's not synthetic. And that, wow, that's a recharge for me. It's a super recharging.
I made a list of, in the area of self-acceptance and forgiveness, instead of being in resistance to self, I have a bully, I have a liar, I have a lazy, I have an obnoxious, I have a coward, I have a lot of things. I think we all have everything, but we're in denial or in resistance to, and if you can embrace those things and know, I have that. And I love all of me. And sometimes some of those things come in handy. That exercise I did before where I embraced all of those things in writing, I mean, you need your inner bitch sometimes.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to share that.
You know, Lori, that reminds me, Emerson says, my life is a life, it is not an excuse.
Can you say that again?
My life is a life, it is not an excuse.
Awesome.
Or an apology.
Yeah, that's the other word that you can.
No, I used to just be so hard on myself. But I didn't want to admit that I have some of those things, but of course I have those things.
I kind of a more general question. Like, how do you perceive the relationship between self-forgiveness and self-care? Like, I was sort of curious, I thought that was an interesting way to go in the workshop. Like, it makes perfect sense, I'm not questioning it, but I'm just wondering, like, you know, as you were conceiving of it, like, you know, where does self-forgiveness fall into it?
Well, I have a tendency to be pretty hard on myself. And again, it was this identifying my hurt aspect of it. That because I'm a fairly new minister, it was this whole I'm not a good minister because I'm not doing the things that ministers do. And so I had to engage in self-forgiveness to enable to start anew. So that's where the self-forgiveness aspect came in for me.
Well, that part was really interesting to me too, because I have, it plays into imposter syndrome, you know? And I have a client who's trying to start a new, like a wellness program. And she keeps coming back to me and saying, how can I put this out there when when I'm not doing the things I say other people should do? And we keep having conversations around it, but I wonder if identifying her hurt might be a thing to bring in. So anyway, thank you.
Any other questions like that? I'm happy to answer any kind of questions.
I think the key is when, with us finding a minister and the minister finding us, are we a good match? And that's the key thing, because if we're not a good match, we're all going to be, forcing and trying to make it happen.
Right.
So it sounds like you feel you're a good match for us. I've been feeling that you're a good match for me. So
I hope so. I do. I hope. I make all kinds of jokes and things like that. But especially after talking to Reverend Rick, and the time that I've spent with you, I want you to have the right minister. I hope that it's me. If it's not, I still want you to have the right minister. I want you to have the right person. Like I said, I do hope that it's me. If it's not, I still want you to have the right person. I want to see you succeed. You've been through a lot, and you've done it well. So I want to see you have somebody that can be with you 10, 15, 20 years and take you well into the future.
I'm not sure about that, because I kind of feel like, well, you will be my sixth minister.
Wow.
And every minister that I had brought to me something that I needed. or that our congregants need it. And it might be that you last 20 years, like Dr. Teal did, for a Mile High, and that would be wonderful, you know, because that helps me with my little security blanket, you know. So, anyway.
I'd be curious, I know senior ministers, one of the major roles is kind of the leader of the spiritual community. What would you say is your leadership style?
I'm very collaborative and a lot of consensus. If I have to say, look, this is the way it's going to be, I can say that, but I don't particularly care to do that. I'm much more collaborative, sort of, you know, there are a lot of people already in place here, so I'm not looking to walk in and say, everybody out of my way. You know, I'm quite content with you continuing to teach and Reverend Phil continuing to teach, and I would like to see the practitioners start to teach or hold workshops and things like that. I would really like to see that happen. And yeah, I'm not interested in doing it all myself. That seems silly. So I'm very collaborative and by consensus.
I would like to say thank you for allowing us to be part of this so much, because some people's style is not so much that.
Oh.
So I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
I'm not into that. I'm much more, you know, a community is a community, and the minister is a part of it. The minister may be the spiritual director, and I know that some ministers are kind of, I'm the captain of the ship, and it's my way or the highway, and I've never, when those ministers leave, those communities fall apart. And you guys have done so well for so long, with and without ministers, that it would be foolish to be like that. It would just be foolish to be like that. Thank you very much.
Thank
you.